Good afternoon, Wrestling Inc. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It is me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Thursday to get thirsty for some pro wrestling punditry. It's our very good friend, Paul Pratt. You may know him as Polio Del Mar sometimes too. Hi, Paul. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
It's always good to be back. You said I looked street tough right before we went on broadcast. This is like my, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up look.
Yeah, you look hard.
Sunset Boulevard.
You look hard today, is what it is. You look like, tough, hard, edgy. I don't know. Sexy, right? All those E's. I look disheveled and wonderful as usual. We have a great show here today, everybody. I don't know if you've heard, the world's on GCW. Paul, this weekend's going to be a big show for GCW.
Man, I am so damn jealous, Nick. I've been dabbling with GCW. I can be found at LA Fights on GCW's YouTube channel at least once a month. We're returning to LA on February 26th, so tune into that. But I am not going to be at the sold-out Hammerstein Ballroom this weekend. I'm mad AF about it. Brett Lauderdale, what a missed opportunity. But I take it as this, Nick. You can't bring in all the superstars at once. You have to save something for the next time we're there.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. You got to leave a little back. And you are just now really finding your moments. A year from now,
exactly.
It'll be undeniable, right?
I plan to be undeniable by this time next year. Undeniable and unescapable.
The world on Polio Del Mar.
Exactly. The world on P. DM.
The world on P. Oh, I'm glad you added the DM there at the end. All right. World on PDM. All right. Well, cool.
Boy, as soon as I laugh, the tough goes out the door, right? All the hard goes right out the door. Sorry about it.
It's fine. You can you can be tough and laugh like that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, sure.
Be as tough as you want. So you
have to be tough to be able to laugh like that.
It's true. You gotta have some reassurance yourself, a little self-confidence. So I brought you up the world on GCW because today and tomorrow we are going to have interviews with two people appearing on the world on GCW. Today we're going to have Ninja Mac. I don't know that I've ever seen Ninja Mac do an interview. I could be wrong.
I don't know that he has either. Did you ask why he alternates between having a mask and not a mask?
I didn't. He actually wears a mask during the interview, which is weird. Because I know he doesn't always wear the mask, and I know exactly what he looks like, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of unusual because I remember being at, I believe it was GCW War Ready, and he wrestled without a mask, and I was like, "Who the hell is that?" And they were like, "That's Ninja Mac." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure."
That's whatever he wants. He's still finding himself, right? He's going to Noah, whatever. It's a great
incredible talent, though. An incredible talent. Do not miss the opportunity to see Ninja Mac live if you have a chance.
Do you watch Cheer? Have you seen the Netflix series Cheer yet, or no?
I do not watch anything actually on Netflix.
Oh, you anti-Netflix?
Yes.
Okay, I don't want to get into it. We're not going to get into it.
I had a job there, and I did not like it.
Okay, anyway. Well, there's a series called Cheer. It's about cheerleaders. Me and Liz watch it. They just released the second season. Turns out Ninja Mac went to one of the most prestigious cheerleading colleges in the entire country, which I don't know why that popped me, but it comes up in this conversation we're going to have today. So,
and I was a competitive cheerleader as well. So, whoop whoop.
Were you? Torrent it, man. Don't give it the money to Netflix. Just go. Anyway, again, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. There's ways to get it without going through Netflix. So,
of course there is. That's how I watch everything.
All right. So, anyway, we have Ninja
Cover
Mac.
my eye, call me Julia Hart, or just say I'm a pirate of the internet, because that's exactly what I do.
We have Ninja Mac on here later if you're in audio form. In about 25 minutes over on the YouTube channel, we'll premiere my Ninja Mac interview there. And spoiler alert, tomorrow I have an Effie interview. It's me and Effie, and it is straight fire. I mean, it is like there's tea all over the place. It's just, he spilled so much tea. Oh my goodness gracious. Just had no F's to give. No Effies to give yesterday.
That's true. That's always F.
We'll definitely be making some headlines with those comments. So, Ninja back today, Effie tomorrow. Into the show for everybody. We're going to dive in the mailbag. We're going to look at the world on GCW. We're going to talk about some of the big matches. What are you most excited about? Of course, the comment section is open. We have Esteban and Shelly here giving me crap for being late, as did Scott. That's fine. I'm sorry, Scott Housen. It happens. But yes, Samantha saying, cheer rocks, go Navarro. It is Navarro. That's where Ninja Mac went. You go listen to it. You'll love it. Anyway, time for news you could use. News will leave a bruise. Bruising and upsetting news here to start. This broke just about an hour ago. Fightful saying WWE not planning to grant Mustafa Ali his release. WWE and Ali have apparently been in communication since Ali requested his release publicly on social media. Ali was told they were not going to grant his release. It was noted that Ali has years left on his current WWE deal, and the term value was brought up in a lot of their discussions, although there were not any specifics. Of course, like there was the reports earlier this week about how Ali and Vince got into each other's faces because Vince pitched something to Ali that he would never do. Let your mind run wild. Paul, what's your reaction to WWE not granting this release?
Wow. First of all, it's sad. I'm sad for him because you know that there's nothing worse than being in an unhappy working environment. So there's that as well. Especially, I think that when you are a young talent like that, who not only wants to live his pro wrestling dreams, but to be a voice for people that he specifically feels incredibly connected to and representative of. So
right.
Those things are probably never going to happen for him in the next few years. I would say that a few of the things that are implied by this to me, number one, he probably doesn't have a very high value contract, which is even sadder because WWE is giving all these releases for financial reasons. And if he's being kept on, that says that he's not really a financial loss. But when they talked about a value, you know, for WWE, and this is probably for those who are huge WWE fans, this is going to probably sound like slander, but WWE loves to have key individuals from different ethnic demographics that they can roll out as needed. And we've seen that time and again, you know, like look at Mansoor. So the fact that he is one of the very few people of his ethnicity who's in the world of professional wrestling, and certainly the only one that I can think of under contract with WWE, there's his value.
It is a really sad story to me, and I haven't had the chance to talk to Ali yet, and I would really love to. I think we would all love to hear from Ali right now. But this guy went out of his way to put over Mansoor in Saudi Arabia, which is obviously something that is very controversial to him because he donated all the money he was given to it back to charity, right? To
Right.
kind of disassociate himself. On the other side of playing ball and thinking, if I do something for you guys on the other side of this, there's got to be something for me. And the fact that they, you know, it sounds like went through the process of the vignette, there were indications maybe he was going to get to do that, and to have it taken away and get kicked in the balls, you know, with whatever they threw back at him, very, very unfortunate. And even if I don't think he was making $1 million, but I would bet high six figures for Ali. If I had to guess, tenure wise, he got to the main roster, moved away from the 205 Live pack, leader of Retribution, T-shirts, the action figures. I would bet he was on the high six end, if I'm guessing, you know. But that's still to them, like each year, a line item. It is nothing for them. We're talking a multi-billion-dollar company. If this guy's making $750 a year, that's whatever. We'll keep him, not only so he doesn't go to AEW, become competition, but also maybe so he can't go out and talk, right? Isn't that the other side of this? Is that another reason they probably don't want him out there right now?
Yeah, but I think that you're being really generous suspecting he makes that much. I don't think there's anything near that for him.
I don't know, man. You know, I think between 5 and 750, if I had to guess.
I would never, ever imagine that for him. I do not think that that's where he's at with this. But at the same time, you know, it's just got to be painful because he certainly comes across as that type of individual who values his authenticity and his self-respect and integrity more than he values that money. So, you know, that to me, I think it's got to be a hard pill to swallow. The other part of this too is, you know, how disheartening does it have to feel to know that they could have run that program with Kofi Kingston, that like, you know, that payback angle with Kofi Kingston and made something really big out of it that could have made both of these competitors look fantastic, and they just scrapped it.
Yeah, it's high school drama, right? It's high school theater program. You upset the theater director over something, you scratch your car, and all of a sudden you're out of the main play. It's not football. It's not basketball. There's not these stats you can look at and point and say, why aren't you playing this person? It's a subjective, weird art form, right? And honestly, I don't know. The union talk was so big a year ago, right? Everybody, because Zelina Vega was out there, they were beating the drum, felt like a move could be made, didn't happen. If nothing else, if I feel like Ali would benefit from a good labor lawyer right now, because I would have to feel like on the heels of them amicably just giving Toni Storm her release recently, there would have to be some precedent to be brought up or addressed here in regards to labor rights, I would think. I don't know. I don't know what Ali makes now, but the guy definitely doesn't seem to want to be there.
Well, and not only that, can you imagine what it must feel like, the poor guy, to know that you're locked in, they're not going to grant your release, and now you're definitely not in their favor. You had a million things going against you before, and now you are certainly not in their favor. Yeah. So, and it's not for a lack. I want to just point out to the listeners and viewers, it's not for lack of talent. I contributed my very first article to Pro Wrestling Illustrated last fall, and the topic of that conversation was watching and outlining Ali's feud with Ricochet on Main Event, WWE Main Event, and that feud was friggin' fire. It was incredible. Both of them shined over there, but we'll never see that, it seems, on the main roster.
Well, and El Dragon Loco here saying, stay classy, Vinnie Mac. And it has been between this and the Gunther stuff, which, by the way, WWE dropped the trademark filing for Gunther Stark. Oh, dude, how badly do you have to mess up? Like, that was, right? It's not a good week, I don't feel like, for press for them.
I want to know who lost their job over that. Like, coming up with that idea, because it's like all things in life right now in the modern era. All you have to do is walk to your phone, which is probably already in your hand, and Google, is somebody already have this name? What is this? What does the reference, what will this pull up like mentally for people?
I just wonder if anything changes, right? I mean, it's so much bad press, but is the WWE fan base just so built in now? Does any of this phase them? Like bad labor practices, Nazi names as wrestlers? I don't know, man. It does feel like more stuff.
Those are moral and ethical questions to call into, for the viewing audience to have to weigh, Nick. And I don't think that most of them ever get there, because if they're willing to watch the product that is currently running, which is not terribly entertaining, and if they will tune in for 3 hours of mediocrity, I don't think that they care. I think that for a lot of these people, it has reached a point of family tradition or personal habit, the same way that, kids, when I was in college, the girls would tune in every day to Days of Our Lives, whether it was good, bad, anything was progressing. They would bitch and moan like, oh my God, like this is the 4th time that they've been divorced or what, it's like none of it makes sense. None of it is appealing, but it is habit, and they do it out of habit. And I think that's really where the WWE is, and why their audience is not either growing or really diminishing. It's like, it's force of habit. That is their easy custom.
Yeah. Well, Fightful also saying Sami Zayn, on the other hand, actually locked into more time with WWE. He signed a multi-year contract. He was said to be kind of private about the negotiations. The company made it clear, though, that they wanted to retain him. They were able to make a deal. Of course, Kevin Owens also sticking around, too. There was talk within AEW of that company being interested in Zayn if he were to leave WWE. And Ring of Honor was also reportedly into bringing Zayn back before they went on hiatus, which I'll comment on here in just a second. Now, Zayn is currently feuding with Jackass star Johnny Knoxville, looking to be a payoff at the Rumble. He's also the current #1 contender to the Intercontinental title, held by Shinsuke Nakamura, who's out with a hand injury. So he's obviously much more well-positioned than an Ali. And they seem to have kind of come to an agreement, with a character he seems to be happy with. It's something they seem to be happy with. It's just which is not normal these days in WWE.
Right. And I think that the even bigger component of this to take into consideration is that his lifelong best friend, Kevin Owens, just resigned.
Right.
And, for Sami, I'm sure that there's been tons of negotiations. And Kevin was very, very upfront about some of the things that he wants to accomplish during his WWE career. And that is to reunite with Sami Zayn, have tag title runs with Sami Zayn. These two are going to work with each other in one capacity or another for the rest of their life. And so if one is staying, the other is staying. I think that's about as far as it needs to go.
Yeah, no, Zayn, he gets the WWE stuff. I think I think Kevin does too. Like, they get Vince kind of like what Vince wants and are cool with it. I mean, the Johnny Knoxville stuff, the giant ramp, the shopping cart thing on SmackDown on Friday, I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. Sami Zayn makes me laugh in this situation. I like him.
Sami Zayn is hilarious. And I think that, we will look at his career and presumably Kevin Owens' career too, the same way that I think a lot of people look at the careers of major stars in the late 80s, early 90s WWF. And what I mean by that is when you look back at especially the late 80s, mid to late 80s of WWF, there are people who are legends, icons, household names. A non-wrestling fan would look at their photo and pretty much many of them would know them. And they never even held a title in WWF. They never had that chance. So there's always that conversation about like, Rick Rude or Mr. Perfect. Like, yes, they held their one title, but they could have been so much more. They could have been a world champion. And I think that people will look at Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn with that same kind of reverence. Roddy Piper, for that matter. Like, Roddy Piper's title runs didn't happen until practically his career was over in WWF. So I really see that these two people have a firm understanding of what it is to be there, be a team player, collect that money. I think they're fully satisfied with what they've accomplished.
And I just think it's too cluttered over at AEW at the moment, right? It
really is. I wouldn't go there.
So let's talk a little bit about AEW. So we got a pivot story here. First of all, Adam Cole, a couple days ago, reunited with Xavier Woods and Cesaro. The party got back together for some Golden Girls tribute they're all working on together. Very nice. I think we can all agree on that, right?
I love the Golden Girls.
Yeah, and Liz is just now getting into the Golden Girls. She never watched it, so I'm getting to rewatch all the Golden Girls too right now. You look...
Whoa.
I know.
How's that even possible?
I don't know, but I'm enjoying it. I'd forgotten how funny. I watched it as like a kid, and like I didn't really get it. Like, watching it as an adult, like this show's hilarious.
I mean, Golden Girls was ahead of its time. It addressed so many social issues well before anything else that was doing it on television. They did it with heart and comedy collectively. For the listeners and viewers who don't know, I starred in an onstage production of Golden Girls for 10 years here in San Francisco, and actually toured internationally doing it. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a little known. I guess it's a little known fact to the wrestling community, but I played Rose Nyland, so I was the last one holding on.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to let Liz know that. That's great. All right. Anyway, so a little Golden Girls talk. Let's get to Dynamite. So Dynamite starts off last night. Jon Moxley, he comes back. He cuts this impassioned promo about beating his demons. And at some point, a fan yelled at him something very derogatory about how he was a drunk or something like that. And Moxley just told him to fuck off and said we should get him out of here, which was a great moment for live TV. How'd you feel about Moxley's return and his promo?
I thought it was fantastic. Everybody is excited to see Jon Moxley return. He had to do it on AEW because we all know that he's getting ready to be at the World on GCW this weekend. He had to, the bread and butter had to get the first dibs on him.
Yeah.
I tweeted, and I was shocked that I was not the only one who thought this, when he kept saying how he had defeated his demons and he don't run from demons. I legitimately fully expected Bray Wyatt to run out there as this new demonic type of character and beat him down. I fully expected that. And multiple people responded to the tweet by saying they thought the same.
I did not. That didn't. No, I thought the man was just talking metaphorically about his alcohol issues. That was
right. And I mean, obviously he was, but if you're, that was to me, I was like, this is a perfect setup for a massive return.
yeah. So I thought it was a good. I liked the promo. I thought it was good. I'm watching this too, and I'm like, wow, like the evolution of what a pro wrestler is has come so far from like 1985 Hulk Hogan, which is a very one-dimensional character. What a fully fleshed out 3D character Jon Moxley is. So relatable. Like you could see yourself reaching out and actually talking to this person. I thought loved the way he handled the fan and the way he looked too. I mean, when you stop drinking like that, it is incredibly how lean and just his eyes look clear. I just thought he looked better. He looked way healthier last
All
night.
the bloat goes away. I mean, when you're pounding down a 12 pack or whatever it was, a day, that's a lot of empty calories. And also a lot, one of the incredible things that I learned firsthand when I went kind of through that same thing, when you stop doing the bad habits that you spend a great deal of time engaging in, all of a sudden you're like, I have a lot of time on my hands. So for Moxley, I would guess a lot of that time has been spent at the gym or, being a dad or doing other things that he might just really love this new life.
And it's weird too. Not weird, but like, so part of like the whole thing with Moxley was he's this underground gritty, tough fighter and all that. There's the shot of him in the Orange Crush, right? Where he's got the bottle of whiskey and a cigarette in his mouth. And he's leaning over in the back. Iconic photo. When you're all hopped up on whiskey and pissed off, like it's easy to have that attitude. When you're not drunk and angry all the time, I'm just personally interested to see how this character like is different now. Like I don't expect to have kind of the same necessarily gritty Moxley as before. I don't know. I feel like we're going to see a little different side of him now.
Well, at the same time, I think that character evolution is important. We all want to see people evolve, and and that happens on every program. And a lot of times that evolution is written by a creative team. I think it could ring a lot more true if it's actually based on who he is and what he's going through in the moment.
So the other thing that caught my attention last night on Dynamite was Cody Rhodes attempted to drop a pipe bomb. Which, first of all, like, I don't know, man. Like, why try to run it back? Just you put over Punk a whole bunch, and then you make your little Walter reference, which was fine, I guess. Got a little pop, but the thing for me that stood out to this is the crowd was just all over Cody. I don't know what they were giving the fans in Washington, D.C. last night, but that may have been the worst audience AEW has ever done a television show in front of. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Well, worst in terms of not wanting to toe the party line.
Oh yeah, they were.
That's I think something that WWE is much more accustomed to than AEW.
Yeah,
AEW fans are rampant, and they are they're very, very of the thought process of AEW being the greatest. Everything that they're getting served should be eaten with joy. And that was not the opinion last night.
No, this was a very uncomfortable promo for me to watch. Like, it was
for a million reasons.
Yeah, it was Cody trying to do his Cody, I'm a good guy, but I get the 50-50 response, because it was not a 50-50. It was like an 80-20 response. And I mean, you could visibly hear it, like you could audibly hear people, I mean, telling him to F off, right? I mean, just like Cody sucks chants, and it was very uncomfortable to watch. It was very uncomfortable to watch. And then he got to the point where he called out Sami. We get to the ladder match. Next week, we're going to get this ladder match at Beach Break with both the titles over the ring for the TNT Championship Unifier. That ladder was it's way too big. He's going to kill himself again. He's going to really hurt himself again. I don't know why. I don't know. He definitely didn't. I thought he was going to come out and say, I have resigned. I am AEW. He didn't do that. I don't know. It's a very interesting time for Cody.
He started that promo by saying, I was told to save this promo but I don't know that I'm going to have the chance.
Mm-hmm.
So part of the implication from Go is just fuel that speculation that he might be going somewhere else. Then he followed up by saying, oh, Tony and management sent me a contract. It wasn't the contract I expected or wanted.
Right. Or maybe not the contract I wanted, I think is what he said.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're definitely trying to drum up that speculation that he's going somewhere. I don't believe that that's the case, but they're trying to drum that up. And this promo for me was wildly uncomfortable because it just seemed meandering and rather disjointed. And that could have been both because the topic sort of like roamed all over, but it also was because he went back and forth between cutting what was, in my opinion, a babyface promo and a heel promo simultaneously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was, some people seem to really love it. I talked to people who watch wrestling with me and on Twitch and things like that, and some people loved it. I did not love it. I thought it was awkward, and I did love, one of the things that did stand out to me is there was a moment he had this facial expression that I thought was very maniacal, and I loved that. But
it seemed like you remember when Ronda Rousey was getting booed just before Mania, and you could tell it was really getting to
pissing her off? Yeah.
I got kind of that off Cody last night, like he's been pretty good about wrangling enough sheep, to go where he wants on the farm. He didn't do it last night. I think it got to him a little bit. Like I could see that in his eyes.
Yeah, I think that it's got to be disheartening. I think that he has a Messiah complex. I think he definitely has a Messiah complex.
He said it. He said a couple of years ago, I had a wrestling Messiah complex. We have that headline. I wrote that headline. Yeah.
He still has the Messiah complex. Right. And it's got to be, there's a strange parallel here, right? That I'm about to draw between Mox and him. And, Moxley was living in this place as when he was in his like full-blown alcoholism, addiction, whatever he was going through, that he is living under delusion that this is not having the kind of results that it's really having. And so there's this moment when you actually have that slap you in the face and you see what is really going on. And it's like heartbreaking. And I'm wondering if Cody, who's got this Messiah complex, is getting slapped in the face more and more often with the reality that nobody except Cody views Cody the way Cody views Cody. Maybe Brandy views him that way. I don't know, but the audience is not buying what you're selling anymore, Cody. Not that way. And I know listeners, Pollo's like such a hater, Cody hater. I'm not. Just turn heel and give the people what you actually are, and we'll be okay.
All right, Paul. I think that is a great place to say thank you for joining me up top to talk all the news today. Ninja Mac, thank you for the time. Really appreciate it. The World on GCW goes down this Sunday. And with that, let's dive to the mailbag right now, everybody. At Wink Daily, WINC Daily. That's the account to follow. If you want to vote in our daily poll, today's poll question, which The World on GCW match are you most excited for? I listed Moxley Homicide, Effie Jarrett, Cardona Janela, but there's some other really big matches here. Ruby Soho, Alley Catch. You got the Grab the Brass Ring ladder match. It's going to have PCO, Alex Colon, Deppen, Leo Rush, Jimmy Lloyd, Jordan Oliver, all in that match. The pre-show scramble, which we talked about, that's got Ninja Mac. You just heard all about that. Team Bandito versus Team Gringo. Of course, the Briscoes got their open challenge out there. Who could possibly walk through the forbidden door? Maybe FTR. I don't know. And, of course, Jonathan Gresham putting the ROH world title on the line against Blake Christian. Just a banger of a show. With 47% the winning match, Moxley Homicide, 31.8 to Cardona Janela, 13.6 goes to Effie and Jeff Jarrett, and 7.6 for everything else. What's the match that's got you most excited?
Of course, it's Effie and Jarrett. That's my favorite of this because of the fact that I think that the build for this has been incredibly good. For better or worse, Moxley Homicide hasn't had a great deal of ability to build because Mox has been otherwise occupied. I think that the excitement for that is specifically because it is the return of Jon Moxley to GCW. And I'm very excited just to see how Effie and Jeffy work together.
Effie and Jeffy. Has anybody called? Is Jeffy? Is that their name? Has anybody called that to them? Is that their Hollywood romance name?
I don't know, but yeah, like Effie and Jeffy, I think is going to be a good match.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Which is, by the way, the only time I can imagine myself picking a Jeff Jarrett match is my favorite.
I think it's going to be great. I mean, Cardona Janela will be good. Moxley Homicide will be good. I mean, Blake Christian, Jonathan Gresham might be a low-key banger. I like the build to Allie and Ruby, the video where she was going back to kind of where Ruby, started her journey when she was off into the week. And this brass ring thing, a lot of big names in there, but Jimmy Lloyd is in the grab the brass ring match. And in the Hammerstein Ballroom, I can't think of anybody else that would get a bigger pop for grabbing that brass ring than Jimmy F. and Lloyd. So I think that might be a big moment for the show too.
It's going to be a show that is entirely worth watching on your favorite cable provider. So definitely stream it if you can't be there live, and most of us can't. So it is going to be well worth the order.
All right. Well, my interview with Ninja Mac is starting any moment now on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube, so we'll put a button in it there for now. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to close out the week with TK Trinidad. Of course, Effie will be on the show tomorrow as well. Support the Wrestling Inc. Daily, our iTunes page. Go give that some love. That helps out. Support WrestlingInc.com on all the socials, and come back tomorrow night after SmackDown for the Wrestling Inc. podcast right back here. Paul, what do you want to put over before we wrap up the show today?
Hey, I want to congratulate my tag team, Money, Power, Respect, Marco and Fab, for becoming the new PCW tag team champions. They're 4-time tag team champions reigning simultaneously here. Of course, you can catch me in another podcast format with Elijah Burke on Pope's Point of View on Saturdays on all your favorite providers, and follow me on socials because that's the most fun.
All right. I'm at Nick_Houseman over on Twitter. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.